Oh, he loves the fire and what a goal!
This is the Halftime Show with Omar Adori on Pulse 95.
Nice strike! Oh, better than nice!
It sure is that time. It's the Halftime Show with Omar Duri. I am your host, covering everything sport, international, local. Shout out to everyone who's tuned in on the Instagram live at Omar Duri and Pulse 95. Shout out to Munas Hawass. Oh my days. KFA in the building. You got Rawan, Spicy, Tariq, Minna. Man, what a show it's going to be today. And I'll tell you what I am feeling today's show, because we got quite a few things happening in the world of sport, and like you know, we're on every Monday, Wednesday, Saturday, 3 to 4 UAE time on Pulse 95 Radio in the heart of Sharjah. But what I'll tell you is, now normally when it comes down to sport, we look at a couple of things. We say they got to start young, but I'm actually going to be highlighting one of the athletes that started off quite late and broke a record recently. That's one. Females, stick around, because I'm also got the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu community is going nuts at the moment, because one female Jiu-Jitsu martial artist actually got excluded from going to the gym. And in doing so, it's created uproar in the world. We're talking about equality, we're talking about women empowerment, and we're also answering all your questions, all your answers, all your statements, anything on health, fitness, sports. Coming up this week on the only place to be at 3, as Hani mentioned, the Halftime Show on Pulse 95.
This is the Halftime Show with Omar Aduri on Pulse 95.
Sure is that time. It's the Halftime Show with Omar Duri. Hope you can feel the energy in the room, because I tell you what, I am up for it today. And you know what? It is that time of the week. Every Monday, every Wednesday, every Saturday, 3 to 4, we are talking about sports, health, and fitness. And today, I'm going to break into one of the athletes that I've looked at this week. And, you know, it doesn't always get the credit that he wants, but I'll tell you why. Because normally in the sports world, and having been in a sports background myself, we look at someone and say, listen, you got to get them in young. You got to make sure they are with an academy, with the right coach, etc., etc., etc. This person started off his career at 27 years old. Now, that doesn't sound that old for those who are 27. Don't worry yet. But in athlete world, it's very old. Why? Because normally in the current market, by the age of 9, you should be affiliated with a club. That's right. I said age of 9. 9 years old normally, if you're looking to get your son into a team or your daughter into a team, that would be the age. Now, that's the first part, I would say. Now you think about all the obstacles that you face when you reach 15, 16 as a teenager, and having experienced this myself, the moment you get to 16, the levels are completely different. Why? Because as we notice now in the biggest leagues and the biggest sports in the world, athletes are starting to break through into the teams at about 15, 16. If they're good enough, they'll play reserve football, get a bit under their belt, learn how to play women's or men's football at a higher level, and then they might get a chance. That chance is everything, because normally the turnover in the industry is crazy. This athlete himself joined the Premier League at 27 and a half years old. And I say half because every half counts. So this guy in 2005 was a factory worker. Do you know who I'm talking about? Instagram Live, you know who I'm talking about? Keep guessing. 2005, he was a factory worker. 2011, he played in Division 5. 2012, he played in the 3rd division. Can we all agree that we know what sport we're talking about right now? In 2015, here's the clue, he was the top scorer in the Premier League. Right, any idea? Text us on 4215 Ittasalat or slide into my DMs at Omar Al-Duri or Pulse 95 Radio and let me know if this person you figured out yet, because I'm about to reveal him now. In 2020, he just hit 100 Premier League goals at the age of 33. Tender age. That's right, Murad. You got it right. Jamie Vardy is someone that doesn't often get enough credit, but his story is quite remarkable. I know there will be a movie on Leicester, and I'm sure there'll be a huge role for Jamie Vardy, because this person has only joined the Premier League at 27 and a half years old. He's gone through being a factory worker. He's been in Division 5, Division 3. He was top scorer in 2015. He won the Premier League with Leicester, which was incredible, and now reaches the 100 goal mark at age 33. There is this big stigma at the moment of we have to be a certain age to make it in the fitness industry, to make it in the sports industry. Basketball players, football players, tennis players, rugby players, you name it. There's always this thing where, no, he's too old. How old is he? 22. We have this stigma in the Middle East as well. My roots are Arabic, everyone knows that. I'm very proud to be Arab, but I'll tell you one thing. Often on this side of the world, and I get messages all the time saying, Coach, can you find me a team? I'm not an agent, so I can't really help you with that. But what I can tell you is not to quit there, because it's never too late when you see people like Jamie Vardy. Jamie Vardy, at 27 and a half years old, joined the Premier League. That is huge. You think of the Wayne Rooneys of this world, 15, 16. You think of the Cesc Fabregas, 16. All these players, Phil Foden, all these superstars start at a young age. You're adding 10 years onto that, and then someone enters the league. That opportunity is never far away if you actually work on it. And that is the moral of the story. Regardless of what sport you play, regardless of what you're looking to get into, even if it's not a sport, even if it's a field, whether your passion is music, whether your passion is business or law or whatever it is, if you put the time in, people like Jamie Vardy give you hope that you can actually progress in that manner. And that is what is so good about this story here. And I have to tell you, he's been overlooked by a lot of people. He's been seen as someone that maybe isn't quite the finished article, but you know what? Top scorer 2015, Premier League winner. There's not many people. Steven Gerrard didn't win a Premier League. I know we keep bringing him up, but there's a lot of amazing footballers that did not win the Premier League. Now I can go to another sport and tell you about the NBA. I can tell you about tennis. People haven't won Wimbledon before. But this is really remarkable. And I love the fact that Jamie Vardy represents more than that. Someone that worked from the ground up to get to where he's at today. And his story will be very remarkable when it comes out, because he's got plenty to talk about. Issues off the field he faced, and that kind of fire and that burn he has in his belly till now to reach 100 goals. Yes, it might have taken a couple of games to get to that, but he got 2 in 1 game. So shout out to Jamie Vardy on the halftime show from Omar Duri and all of the Pulse 95 radio team. Listen, hats off to you, my brother. That was really, really amazing. And coming up next, we're switching over to the female side of things, and that's going to be Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So on the only place to be, I almost missed my breath there, guys. On the only place to be at 3, the halftime show on Pulse 95. Stay tuned.
This is the halftime show with Umar Adouri on Pulse 95.
Nice strike! Oh, better than nice!
Ooh, we are back on the halftime show. First of all, let me say happy birthday and belated birthday to our very own Gabby at Pulse 95, the man, the magician behind the lens that does so much for Pulse 95. Happy birthday to Kareen as well. We're giving out, birthday shout-outs today. And everyone is tuning on the Instagram Live as well, guys. Thank you so much for the love that you are showing. You guys definitely keep me company throughout the breaks, and I really, really appreciate that. Listen, United fans, they're jumping on the Instagram Live. I'm glad you're jumping on. I hope you're also showing love to the YouTube channel. Every day after our show, the full show is back on the YouTube channel. If you type in the halftime show on Pulse 95 Radio, you can actually check it out there. So yeah, we're talking that. But actually what I want to talk about is there's been a lot of uproar in the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu community. Why? Because there came a point where females were not allowed to be in a gym, in a certain gym, which was a quite well-known gym. And what happened here is it caused uproar. Why? Because obviously equality and the fact that females obviously have a huge part to play in jiu-jitsu and also in the development. Now, and that's not only my concern. My concern is more the fact that sometimes with the skill set that, female jiu-jitsu athletes have, they've got a certain skill level that they offer something that us men can't do. And I'm not only talking about strength, I'm talking about the mindset. How to focus on other skill set, how to focus on utilizing the strengths that you have to be able to expose the weaknesses of an opponent. Now, this is one thing that I've kind of looked at in a very, very different way. Why? Because, I'm all for female empowerment, but that means most importantly being powerful inside, not necessarily as a female or as a male. At the end of the day, the idea that we're the same is kind of ridiculous, because a lot of people are saying, yeah, we're the same. Men have advantages, female have advantages. So we both know that. We're not oblivious to that. However, both genders have strengths and weaknesses, and these are good and and bad things that we can kind of focus on. What I normally like to say, and I say this to a lot of people, don't come to me with a problem, come to me with a solution. If you find yourself the underdog or someone that necessarily isn't got all the skill set to face an opponent, and let's face it, people, we always have people that are stronger, faster, smarter than us out there, but the way we maneuver and the way we adapt to certain situations, and not just in sport, by the way, in life, is what gets us through, because we only learn from our mistakes if we actually observe, assess the situation, and then move forward and take it on to the next obstacle. And this is something that with all this going on now, I was looking at some website and it was telling me a lot about what women offer in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Now, from what I understood, the white belts would train with weights that are even 20 to 40 kgs heavier than them when it comes down to, as we call it, sparring in boxing or rolling in Jiu-Jitsu. This was something very, very interesting. Now, world-class black belts like Gizare Matuda, Vivian Davis, and Samantha Cook, they actually do mixed jiu-jitsu camps. Why is that interesting now? Because when a man goes to a mixed jiu-jitsu camp from these world-class black belts, they can learn a lot from them. These women are highly skilled instructors and benefit the whole community. Now that makes me want to do it. Why? Because they've been through it, and irrespective of their gender, they're there because of their quality. Sometimes people ride that wave too much. Oh, it's because he's male, or because she's female, etc. If you're good enough, I've always said you're good enough to make it at the top. These women are actually doing that, and I believe that seminars and camps for women are only a good opportunity to grow, exchange experiences, and build a network that is necessary. But we don't have to limit ourselves to the way we think. Now, when it comes down to entering anything with an open mind, you leave with a mind full. I always say that. And the reason why I say that is because sometimes if you have a closed mind and you go into something, let's say you want to learn a new language, and you're going into learn this now, but you don't like the language, most probably you won't enjoy it. And that's something else. Now, if I'm looking to take up a new sport, for example, I'm looking to, let's say, play tennis. If I'm looking to play tennis, but before I've even stepped in, I'm thinking, yeah, but it's too hard. Yeah, but what am I going to benefit? Yeah, but it's boring. Most probably I won't be enjoying it. And that's why I always say enter it with an open mind, leave with a mindful. And remember that, like, when it comes to jiu-jitsu on this side, especially in the female world of sport, you're there by merit. So you enter the mat not as a male or a female, not based on your ethnicity. None of that matters. It's based on your skill set. And that's why when this situation happened, this incident happened where where females were not allowed to train at this gym, and all of a sudden uproar happened in the world of jiu-jitsu, that for me really struck a chord, because it made me believe that there are some people that still have that kind of closed-mindedness. And what I want to do is I want to hear from you. Does that still exist around? Do you find that men get preferences when it comes to sports in the academies you join? So let's say you want to join a boxing gym, or you want to join, jiu-jitsu, or you want to join, let's say, I don't know, wrestling. Is it the fact that you see that men get preferential treatment, or would one argue that even females having a ladies only class doesn't benefit the female because they're not learning the skill set? Let me know. Text us on 4215 Itasalat or slide into our DMs at Omar Duri at Pulse95 on Instagram. Coming up next, we've got plenty of questions coming in here on what we've spoken about today. I'm going to be answering that right next after the break on the only place to be at 3, the halftime show on Pulse 95.
This is the halftime show with Omar Duri on Pulse 95.
It sure is that time, and if I ever had a show that was dedicated to Manchester United fans, you guys have taken over the Instagram live room at Omar Duri and Pulse 95 Radio, and your questions have been very, very cool. So thank you so much for tuning in. Remember, guys, we're on every Monday, Wednesday, Saturday, 3 to 4, and also on the YouTube Pulse 95 Radio the next day. You can catch all the shows, which is pretty cool. And obviously the music's pretty good as well. So hey, listen, we got a couple of questions coming in. Hatem is saying, what's happening with your coaching journey? My coaching journey personally, I'm on my UEFA B at the moment. A lot more to learn. Yes, I've been very, very fortunate enough to have gone to major tournaments in the world, but I still have a lot more to learn, and I'm definitely exploring that option The world is under the pandemic at the moment now, which is causing a few things on hold, but I find that as a blessing in disguise in order for me to actually learn a lot more in that period. I got a lot of books that I've actually ordered from Amazon to research and check out different styles and stuff. And my favorite coach, to answer your question, is Marcelo Bielsa, who's at Leeds at the moment. So that's that. Can we comment on the YouTube live? Rawan says, not at the moment, Rawan. The comments are not abled or disabled, as we say, but we're working on that. That's why we're on the Instagram live, because you guys play such a huge role on the show, and so by doing so, that's why we have this interaction. But guys, make sure you do head over to the YouTube. There's always things that we catch on, especially it's nice to hear your name as well on the YouTube as well, to catch on. Rawan, Pogba is not a leader. Amda says he's moody. And then I just don't think Pogba without a solid midfield partnership was all alone. Okay, right. So that's something. I've also got VK as well, who said it took 20 years for her to join boxing. And I've actually said to VK, listen, Fahima is your girl. If you're going to be joining a ladies only boxing class, Fahima from RBO is the girl, and she's saying here, and I have joined RBO. Okay, excellent. Right, so we're on the same page. Well done, VK. I'm sure you will be doing great things. Fahima's excellent. We've got Hassan saying the biggest mistake was when to let Lukaku go without a backup. But Spicy, see, I counter that. Is it a mistake when the development and the involvement of Mason Greenwood has prospered the way it is? The England young team is really looking to shape up, and people forget they won the Under-17 World Cup, they won the Under-19 World Cup, so I don't think that decision was a bad decision. Maybe at the time, the style of play that United were playing to a target man had to be changed quickly, and Martial isn't a target man, Rashford isn't a target man, but still being able to play with a three that can rotate in a formation that allows you to be able to exploit spaces, especially on the counter, not teams that sit back, has helped United massively. Rawan agreed, Pogba is not captain material. We've got Fadi here who's saying, I think United's transfer strategy heavily relies on the manager and CEO since CEO since there isn't a director of football in the hierarchy. Bruno is definitely an Ole signing. Very good, Fadi. I think nowadays, with so many different roles, it's very, very hard to kind of point the finger on those that make the right decisions. It's very easy to point the finger at those that make the wrong decisions, because we are in a society where most of the time, like I said with the whole Barcelona episode we had last week, most of the time if they're winning, Messi's the best player in the world, and if they're losing, sack the manager. And that happens in a lot of teams. I know managers who have lasted 6 games at the highest level. I won't name them, but when speaking to them, it wasn't easy, and they weren't given enough time and afforded enough time, and fans play such a hard role in that. Since Ole is back, Ole is in charge. Interesting. Rawan, and then you got Spicy saying Ole all the way. You've got Amda saying I'm very happy with the United show. Hussein has joined in. And then you've got Fadi saying his emphasis on mentality rather than the patchwork that has been prevalent before with other coaches. Not to say they haven't got it right before that. Martial. Yes. Guys, look, all in all, football is a very fickle industry. And saying that, when it comes down to it, a couple of decisions and people jump on the bandwagon. I do agree that mentality is very, very important. Gordon has jumped in the room. He's talking about Mike Phelan had a big role to play in the coaching since experiencing under Fergie. Yes, very good. But Gordon, sort out your bike. So in that sense, what I'm saying here is plenty of things to think about where the blame goes. Do we need director of footballs? Do we need technical directors at the moment? Who makes those decisions? And what actually puts them as experts? We look at all these things. Bruno Fernandes isn't just a good footballer, he's a good leader. And we spoke about leadership on the show when we compared Jordan Henderson to Steven Gerrard and what makes a successful leader. Now we're looking at someone that steps in, is able to lead by example on the field and off the field, and someone who's only joined in the Premier League for a few months. So that tells you quite a bit of stuff on what he's all about. Now, it's not just in in football, again, it comes down to many different sports, and that's exactly why the halftime show is amazing, because we've got people like you tuned in and actually contributing to the show. Now, I'm not blessed enough to have an Anna Schofield or a Big Hass or a Umnia Saleh or a Mikhail Atiyah, but I do have you guys, and that's why it's really important to be able to get that engagement. So guys, make sure you show love on the YouTube Pulse 95 Radio. The show is always there. Click on it, watch it. There's always things that I mention that might even trickle back. And it's really funny that when I watch all the other shows, from ESPN to BBC to all these places, and I hear what's being said, and I kind of nod and say, yeah, I spoke to Hassan about that. I spoke to Murad about that. I spoke about all these things, on the show. And that's why, it's always important to learn and get different things. People that live in different countries can offer something as well. Hatem is in a different country. You've got Gora in a different country. You've got Ala in a different country. You've got all these people that bring their flavor to the show. So I really appreciate all the love and support. And guess what, guys? I'm going to play some more tunes for you, because, the tunes here are on point. This one's a bit more chilled. It's by Sam Henshaw, Broke. Enjoy, and I'll be back after this break. Here we go.
This is the halftime show with Omar Adori on Pulse 95.
Nice strike! Oh, better than nice!
It sure is that time. I can't believe it's almost full time. And I'll tell you, you guys have been keeping me company. What a show we've had in store today. We've spoken about female jiu-jitsu. We've spoken about the Premier League. We've also spoken about Jamie Vardy breaking records at 33 years old and joining the Premier League at 27 and a half years old, from a 2005 factory worker to joining the 100 Club. And also, you guys have kept me company all over the Instagram. I had a few questions I want to answer. Goran sends me a question saying, what do you think about Arsenal, bro? And which area do you feel needs strengthening most importantly? To be honest with you, Goran, in answering your question, I think before strengthening, you've got to be able to clear a lot of deadwood that's out there. Getting a clean sheet from the likes of Mustafi and Louise is not something that I would particularly be very, very proud of. But then the manner that they did it against Wolves, a very difficult side to beat, is very impressive. So that's something that I would say. Now, saying that, there's so much work that needs to be done there. And I say that because we're not in the position, especially when we don't finish in the top four, which we won't do this year, to be able to strengthen the side. However, I do feel like we need to clear out about 7 to 8 players in doing so, and purchase 4 to 5 players with a mixture of youth, because we have seen, the rise of Saka coming through and a lot of the younger players doing good. I don't feel Guendouzi's quite there yet. I'll probably sell him for 30 million. That's just me. In fact, I might even drive him down there and drop by Kebab Kid on the way. But again, saying that, there's a lot of young talent out there that deserves to be given the opportunity. And in that building phase, I think as well, we're not in a position where we can sign players for 70, 80 million. So there's a lot of work done. The obvious one is obviously centre midfield and defence. I would probably go for Upamecano at the back as one solid signing. If we can manage to pull off that and put installments on that, plus an eBay voucher, then that would be amazing. Because if I could do that, then that would be my first signing. Also thinking about players who can rotate. I'm a big fan of the younger talent. The younger generation has been so impressive, especially the English players. Greenwood, Rashford, Saka, Foden, Sancho, Trent, Sterling. It's a very good generation to be in. So that's to answer your question. There's a lot of work. There's a lot of surgery needs to be done in there, I want to be very, very honest. What have I got here? I've got Mason is the best finisher in the squad, is what Ollie said. Now that's a statement. Okay, Rawan, I'll give you that statement. Okay, how about this? He has scored as much as Firmino in the Premier League? Yes, again, in context, guys, we can look at facts and we can talk about, how many goals we've scored in the last 2 games, 3 games. Firmino does more for the team than Mason Greenwood has for United this season. In fact, Bruno Fernandes has done more for the team than Mason Greenwood. So Henderson, who doesn't score goals, has done more for the team than Mason Greenwood. So yeah, just to put things in light, there are levels, like I said, don't take the arm. That's what I would say. Now, when you look at teams, especially the younger teams, you've got to be able to respect a lot of the things that's happening. Earlier on the show, someone said to me selling Lukaku would have been a wrong decision. My thing was, no, it wasn't, because it allowed the players to develop and form a different system, which has worked in the long run. So sometimes you've got to take a step back to take two steps forward. Fadi, Omar, who are your takes for the bottom three at the end of the season? Villa, Bournemouth and Norwich are down. Yes, I definitely agree with that. I think Bournemouth, the teams they're playing, they'll definitely go down. Norwich are down. And sad to say, even though Tyrone Mings is a friend of the show, I think he'll go down too. So that's regarding that. What else have I got? I've got a couple more questions. It's almost full time, but I've got a couple more questions. Foden and Greenwood, the future of England. Yes, absolutely agree with that, Rawan. Talking sense. Definitely think that that's the case. With Phil Foden, I had a show, check out the podcast on SoundCloud called The Rise of Phil Foden. That was talking a lot about Phil Foden, the way he is. He's a family guy, he has a kid, and he's got his head on his shoulders properly, so I'll definitely give him credit for that. Aubameyang signing a new deal, Tariq says. I'm not sure about that, to be very honest, but it has to be decided within the next 6 weeks because he enters his final year contract. You guys are not letting me go off. Not West Ham. Shout out to West Ham and Hatem as well. Omar, would you sign a player from Wolves? Absolutely. I'd sign about 4 players from Wolves, if I'm being very honest, and I wouldn't sign Traore. Give Aubameyang a 3-year contract. Jimenez, Traore, their DM, forgot his name. Dendoncker was his name, Goran. But yes, Jimenez would be a great signing. I like Doherty, actually. Really like him. And I like Moutinho's very smart. Neves is very good. Very, very good work ethic in that team. And guys, we are reaching full time on the halftime show. Man, you guys have kept me company. Remember, you catch me every Monday, Wednesday, Saturday, 3 to 4. What a show. Thank you so much for being part of it. I love you guys. And I will see you back here on Wednesday. Same time, same place, on the only place to be at 3, the halftime show on Pulse 95. Peace.
From the heart of Sharjah. Pulse 95.
Pulse 95.
Pulse 95. Something to talk about.